Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Blind Sensei Society. We are back at it again for today's video talking about Boruto. Now, we're not going to read through. We already read Boruto. It's been out for a little bit. We're just going to kind of talk about some of the key things that happened in the chapter, show you some panels that we're talking about as well. But before we kind of get into the spoilers and stuff and talk about the details, what is everybody's overall impression of the recent chapter?
You go first, Miles.
Trying to figure out how I want to word this properly. Kishimoto kind of has this issue to me, and it's a theme in his writing, I feel like, in general, where he'll build up to certain moments, and these revelations are supposed to be super impactful or feel really meaningful, and they kind of fall flat to me. I think the chapter was good, but good like a 7. I don't think it was a mind-blowing, incredible chapter. I don't think any of the information provided to us was like mind-blowing to me. It kind of felt a little lame. I think the Jiraiya sticking around stuff or Kashin Koji sticking around stuff is kind of lame. And the fact that these seeds can kind of just come at any time and they can regrow them, plant them if they preserve the seeds. I find that to be a little lame. And then I also find the idea that, man, I shouldn't have smoked. Um,
Hey man, we be buzzing, we be chilling. Yo, YouTube, do you care if we smoke weed? Curious.
I don't like the idea of I have it. It's right here. I just can't I can't. I don't like when time and stuff is involved and alternate and future timelines and things like that. And this race against the clock that they're kind of setting up, it's not really moving me that much. It feels really corny. It feels kind of forced. Kashin Koji's whole godly ability is now a plot device to move everything forward, and they can kind of predict and run away from what's supposed to happen. I find it corny. I'll leave it at that for now. 7 out of 10 chapter. I think it's cool, but I see people glazing, talking about Boruto's on top. Y'all gotta slow down. Wasn't that great of a chapter. It was just good.
All right. Lonnie, overall impressions.
No, I feel a lot similar. I thought it was the premise of what they were introducing was interesting. I don't think like the delivery was hard or crazy or anything like that. It's almost like they just like fed us information like very slowly. But yeah, it was great. I mean, it makes Jiraiya's clone more important. I think this chapter is because at this stage with how powerful everyone is, a Jiraiya clone is not moving me. Especially as we see with Himawari again, just laying her hands on people and they be healed. Like I said, she chakra Jesus.
Naruto
But
did that.
yeah, at the peak of his powers, not as a 10-year-old brat.
You got
But
it. You got it.
yeah, but no, it was the fact that like we see more and more of these Otosuki powers coming to fruition. The story is moving along. Now they've quote unquote captured Baruto, and we know that like we see like the possible futures of everything that's gonna happen and that Baruto's supposed to die to one of them, and then like we still know that there's that Otsuki monster thing that hasn't been born yet. It's supposed to. I don't know if you noticed him, like he was in the back. He's not amongst the group yet, so eventually, like he's gonna come into fruition.
Y'all know who that is, right?
I have no idea.
I didn't get a good look at his face.
I
Only
didn't
like
really look into it, but
When we get into the chapter, you pull the panel up. I'll tell
all
you.
right, bet.
okay.
I'm curious. Um, all right, you got
So
anything else?
no, it was a good chapter. I don't think, like Miles said, I don't think like we should be like going crazy over this. I feel like it's just a good setup chapter, and it gives more context into like how what Baruto was doing. But yeah, it was cool. Nothing too crazy or like mind blowing to me.
All right. Boruto Blue Vortex chapter 13. I thought it was solid. One thing that I'm gonna try to do while I keep on reading Boruto, because I'm here, I have to finish the ride. Is that I kind of just have to let things go. So like the whole broken Shiba stuff that these characters are getting, I'm just gonna have to let it go. I didn't like it the first time they did it. I'm not gonna like it continuously as they keep on just randomly bringing it up. We'll talk about it more with Kosh and Koji, but I'm gonna have to let the logic of them having it go and just talk and really just talk about, okay, how is it getting used in the story? So that's something I'm gonna have to let go and move on. Um, Also the fact that what was the other part? Oh, like the Himawari stuff. She's broken. Best tail beast user we've ever seen in Naruto. So we're just gonna have to. I'm gonna have to kind of let that go too.
Does she even qualify as a tail beast user?
I
Because
don't know, man.
she's more than that at this point.
Maybe she got some Shiba cells too, man. But yeah, I'm gonna have to let that go. So that's what I'm gonna start trying to do with Boruto, like series like a Boruto or Black Clover. I'm gonna have to just let certain things go to finish the ride. Now saying that, letting that go, I thought it was a solid chapter, and especially for Boruto standards, I thought it was a solid chapter. A few things that I'm like questioning, but there is a question that I'm going to ask at the end of the video. That's like arguably the most important character that is tied to so many of this stuff. I'm like, what is his plan? What does he want to do? How did he do all this in the first place? So we'll talk about him. If you don't know who I'm talking about, I'll tell you now. It's Amato, of course.
And we got his
So
first name for the first time too, or is it his surname?
I don't even remember that, but he's like, it's weird. He's the most random but most important character in Boruto, like arguably by far. So I'm so curious. Obviously, not mentioning Boruto, the main character, but yeah, we'll dive into that. First thing I want to talk about. So in this panel, where Boruto is kind of cooked on the ground, and Jorah looks at him and decides is not to kill him. Do we think that makes sense right there? Because he said he was about to kill him, and then he just decided not to.
Well, like we saw the other guy like pull up on him with the claw marks or whatever to give him news. To me, that wasn't a valid enough reason to not take out one of your biggest threats, because that news shouldn't have stopped him from trying to kill Baruto. He just said it was like, oh, like I guess the gods want you to live. Like what? Like that? You could have still killed him and then gone back to where you were at to do what you got to do.
I agree, Lonnie. I'm gonna be a little harsh. I think that's ass. You clearly got the ability to snipe from that long away. He's already on the ground, immobile. I know you're
We
worried
gotta go
about
right here.
Hadari. You're worried about Hadari rotting. You got to get the seed back. You could have just sniped him, and like Lonnie said, you snipe him. We get up out of there. We can all
Here's the
teleport. I don't understand. I don't get it.
Yeah, Miles, to your point, because they're worried about the thing rotting, the guy just appeared in his body with the claw marks. He could have easily just taken the heart and then disappeared in the claw marks, and then while he snipes Baruto.
The only way they'd have to justify it is if that dimension that they're in, only Jura can get them there. That would be the only justification
But
based
that
on
wouldn't
what
make any sense either.
it wouldn't. That's what I'm saying. That's my
Yeah,
problem with Oda though. Stuff like that. I mean, I said Oda. My fault. Kishimoto. It's like you be doing little quick things and it just don't be making sense, brother. It don't make sense.
yeah. It's definitely shortchanging it a little bit, Kishimoto. I think you understood that too, because the whole statement of the gods let you live or something. It's just we all like we know it's not a strong enough reason, but we kind of get the idea that you're trying to move the story along, and
Mhm.
you're taking a little bit of shortcuts here and there because that definitely was.
You're taking a lot of shortcuts.
There's another one in this chapter I'm gonna point out too.
Yeah. But I mean, we get it. So I'm gonna Kishimoto. Fortunately for you, like you have grace for with me at the very least, because Naruto exists. If this, we've been saying it a long time. Naruto didn't exist. Boruto would not cook. It would get canceled. I'm not gonna lie, and I stand on that business right there. But I'm gonna let that go.
I like
And
the fact though. I mean, it's kind of funny that we give a lot of people give Kishimoto like, oh, he's old tax, but at the same time, Oda's just doing his thing, killing it. Who's around the same age, if not older, and we don't give him any tax. He's been bringing out banger after banger, but we gotta deal with Kishimoto's senile bullshit. It's okay.
I do want to take it a little easy on Kishimoto because we know obviously that he wasn't the person to write Boruto in the beginning.
Yeah, he
So
had
So
it was his head assistant that he oversaw and he trusted with. So like when you're doing these type of stories, like there's still like an outline and everything like that. So he was aware of like the trajectory of the story at least.
it's
Because
hard.
he wasn't the main guy, but it was his main edit. It was like his main assistant who he gave the reins to, and then he
But
like
how much?
the guy took it off the rails. But it's like
How much was Kishimoto really in? Like, we don't know. I mean, if Kishimoto was there's a reason why Kishimoto took over the reins.
Yeah.
well, we know that he like
So
we know that like
he probably
after
wasn't as involved as we think at the beginning.
we know after Naruto, like he like went on a honeymoon for the first time, I believe, with his wife, and like he like took a vacation for the first time. We also saw that like with Boruto, he was projecting a little bit because he had to like repair, I guess, a relationship with his kids. That's why Naruto and Boruto had that like friction because he felt like, oh, because of my success with Naruto, it like impacted my relationship with my kids. That's why we see it in there. So like we know that he was like doing a lot of family time, but he was still like it's his main assistant who he gave a story to. He was still involved somewhat, and eventually assistant did some bullshit, and then he took back over. But at the same time, that type of transition, it was probably already weeks in advance of the process of him taking over.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not gonna say he was just completely out the loop because that wouldn't make sense either.
Not completely, but I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt, and because of that, when he did take over, I'm gonna imagine that there's a lot of things that he's just not on board with, so he has to take kind of the lazy approach to kind of get past it. And I don't even know how much of this is like a passion project for him. So I don't know if he's gonna take as much care in certain the small details as he would for like a Naruto, for example.
If
So
Toriyama, God rest his soul, tried to take over Super back in the day, would you think he be pulling out this type of quality? Because I don't.
I don't
I
know.
don't.
Cooper did a lot of stuff that's pretty cringe to me, but
But I don't think he would like just retcon, shortcut a whole bunch of the bullshit in Super either. I don't think he would do it like this.
Mm.
hard to say. It's actually kind of it's not normal for like sequels to get this big though. If you really think about it, for like manga, for the
That is true.
most yeah. So maybe this is just uncharted territory because he kind of has to finish. It's Boruto. He can't just drop it. You got to
No,
finish
you
Boruto.
can't drop it now.
Yeah, so it's like we need this finish versus like if you was doing that's why Samurai 8 it just wasn't working, it got canceled. But
Mhm.
regardless of whether or not he liked the prior decisions, I mean, you can make the argument that he's like, fine, we just got to rock and roll and just keep on going. So that's my best argument for protecting Kishimoto's legacy right there.
You should have took the Kubo approach, man.
It's set.
But just make a video game and chill. Just make a video game and chill.
Drop you a one shot in a video game and call it a day, man.
Just leave, say,
I play Breach Souls every day.
oh, it was a one shot. I'm gonna this other series that's connected to Bleach universe. Drop 8 chapters there. Get an anime for those 8 chapters. Just and then leave. Dip. It's like nah, you ain't getting any
Hey, but
more.
we know Kubo like Core 3 is going to be like one of the biggest things for Kubo's career because if he's like kind of rewriting from this point on, the beginning of yeah, so it's gonna be interesting to see what he does.
Yeah. All right. Let's get back to it. We sorry we bored you with that little tirade, but um, I just want to put out this real quick. How do we feel about Boruto's hair right here?
I liked it.
I thought
Really?
it was, I thought
Yeah.
it was cool.
It's like I don't know. He finally
It
reminds
kinda
me of
gave a Sasuke
Naruto.
vibe.
It's like
I
Sasuke's hair with Naruto's face,
I thought it was Naruto at first. When I
right?
first saw it, I was like, wait, is this Naruto? I was like, oh no, it's Boruto. Because it was it's such a random transition, but I
And
guess
I wouldn't be mad if that was Naruto's hair in Boruto. Why did you have to mess up everyone's haircut? Like,
Lonnie, why did they give him that military buzz cut when he could have
why
looked
didn't they
like
just make him
that?
look more like his dad? That would have made sense. If he looked more like Minato at this point, that would have made sense. If he looked like Minato, that would have made sense.
I'm not usually a fan art brother, but all of those Naruto adult fan arts, I be looking at all of them because I'm like, yo, y'all fumbled this. Y'all fumbled this.
Oh, okay.
I mean, they tried doing that with Ichigo, but at least his hair, he still got like some like volume to it or something.
Yeah, he got some hang time. Naruto don't got shit up there.
All right. So the next thing, it's time to talk about it. Probably the biggest thing that happened in the chapter. Kashin Koji returns and all this stuff regarding prescience about him reading the future and seeing multiple futures and all that stuff, and it getting randomly awakened because he was about to die. Um, I guess first question: how do we feel about this?
I don't mind the prescience thing. Because it actually never occurred to me that the not all of the car members were ever gonna get one. So I thought it was interesting that he did always try, and it would just randomly awaken or it just wouldn't at all. So I really don't mind it because we never even got a clear definition of how these modified beings truly do work. Delta was kind of our only example of kind of what they're like. And then Ida and Damon are fairly new. My problem is more so with his death. How you go from I'm just about to die, like you said earlier, it's like Kishimoto's trying to move the story along lazily. He was clearly about to die, and now he's just alive again. How does that work? With no Amado to help you, he
Yeah,
just got up. He just
I
got up and was
didn't.
cool.
I didn't even remember. I was reading the chapter. I was like, I was trying to think of how did he get out of the situation exactly. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know the detail there. I'm very confused on that part.
Other than that, I don't mind prescience. Me personally.
I don't mind it. And I feel like I forget the girl's name that she can see everything that happens in the
Ida,
world.
yeah, Ida.
Yeah, I don't mind that. Cause like I feel like they would need something to combat that type of ultimate power. Like if he can predict a low stuff in the future, so they can prepare for her. So it kind of makes sense. I am still wondering how they're gonna combat her brother, who like just deflects. It seems like everything.
He's OP.
Yeah. So, but no, it makes sense. It kind of like gives him a purpose in the chat because like a Jiraiya clone at the stage in age, it's just like it just doesn't make sense. Because I'm sorry, Himawari walks that clone easily in terms of power. So he needs like some type of like soup. He needs some type of OP ability, like kind of like makes him relevant, and especially like if someone tries to pull up on him, he at least would know ahead of time, so he can like escape or do whatever he's got to do. But yeah, it makes sense. I'm fine with it.
Yeah. After I let go the idea of these like broken abilities existing in Boruto, I mean, it makes sense that someone was needed something to help Boruto kind of combat this. Now, I just assumed it was Ida because Ida kind of already elicited that she's been talking to Boruto here and there. So I thought she was just going to be the one helping Boruto, considering she's the one that kind of messed everything up in the first place.
Mhm.
But having another one who seems to be the most important thing that he's doing so far was training Boruto, and we'll talk about the means to train Boruto in a second. So I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. I thought I would have assumed that he was already super broken because of Sasuke and his training, but it seems
Mhm.
like that didn't even really prepare him much compared to what Kashin Koji just gave him. So fair enough. Um, the one thing I will say though is Shiba cells is basically rehashed Hashirama cells, and that's that Kishimoto trope that I'm surprised he brought back, but did it? I guess because not a lot of people meme Hashirama cells, so why do it again? I don't get it. I don't. It's pretty nasty. I'm not gonna lie. Shiba cells, bro. Oh man, imagine bringing back your like most meme thing into your sequel, even though people didn't like it the first time you did it.
Yeah.
They spammed that shit. They really spammed it.
It's crazy. Hey man, we're just gonna put your cells into you to make yourself OP. Come on. And then that begs the question when we get to it, like Amato, how the hell did you get Shiba cells? Like that's the bigger question. But
I said
we'll
in
talk about that later.
okay, bet.
Yeah, because Amato, I feel like is the final talking point. The last thing I'll say is that okay, Shiba cells more than likely the Delta is going to have an OP ability at some point. More than likely,
Eventually, yeah.
yeah. So that's something to look forward to.
And
When
then
we'll
I
see
I didn't
Yuta.
realize that the claw grimes that was confirmed. That's a Shinjutsu. I thought that was just a regular. I thought that would have been his style of teleportation, or just almost like a Kekkei Genkai. But no, that's one of the abilities too. So I guess more people have had them than we've kind of realized.
Yeah, I appreciate the fact that they kind of specify that Ida is like the most broken out of all of them.
Yeah.
For so, hey man, I'm sure we're gonna see more broken Shinjutsu that comes along. The next thing, of course, let's talk about this guy. Who is he? Who is this guy? Because this is who we're assuming was brought in with the recent seed on the final panel, and that means what this also verifies for us is that they have captured more people that we don't know about.
Hmm.
So that's going to play a factor moving forward in the series. So
After a second look, do you know who it looks like?
Go ahead, Lonnie. Who will look like?
Gara's son.
That's exactly who I think it is too. It's Shinky.
It looks like him.
I initially thought of Shinky too, but I was like, no way Shinky was caught, was he? That'd be kind of wild.
I don't think it's like out of the realm of possibility either.
Of course not, because he's
But
not. He gets no burn. He gets no playing time.
but the implications that they would have people from other villages, they can kind of get wild with their forces.
Mm-hmm. They can
Yeah,
defeat the Kages and stuff like that.
I
Yeah.
I think they should focus on characters that are important but not like super important. Like that's why Moegi was a good one to
Hmm.
get because she doesn't really get burned, but she's still a relatively important character for the like knowing them in Naruto.
Right.
So I'm thinking that's what they should do. Who else from the other village do we think? Like instead of like the most important people, the other ones. Who we think?
Besides the Kage,
I'm trying to think of. I doubt it
Uh,
would happen, but you know what would be interesting?
who?
Killer B.
Killer Bee would be interesting.
that would be interesting. Yeah, besides like Cherokee level type people, I don't know because everyone else that we really knew was like old at that point. So unless you're gonna get like who's Gara's brother, the puppet guy,
Conqueror.
Konkuro would
like
be really interesting.
Kankuro would be interesting.
Have Shino fight him. Come on.
Have
Y'all don't know.
Shinky fight
Y'all don't
him.
know about that meme?
No.
No.
That was supposed to be Shino's big fight in the tuning exams, and
Oh yeah,
Conqueror
yeah,
quit.
yeah, it was, it was.
Oh,
So he
I
never got his high level fight. Shino never got that high level
Yeah, but
fight.
at this point, like
that's
he has like
right.
the Sasori puppet, and we don't know what he's got now because of the time skip. So like, I'm sorry, like Shino,
Konkuro would be a
I don't think
good.
Shino living through that.
Nah, Yoshino getting cooked for sure. I was thinking that swordsman dude that was helping B the like the teammate of Choji's wife back in Naruto.
Oh, I don't know his name. I know you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, that's who came to mind for me. See him pop up, but I like Konkuro. Konkuro would be a really good one to pop up. And then
Yeah.
Shikamaru and Tamaru would have to deal with them too. Like, oh,
That'd be pretty cool. Yeah.
we have to remember these things target important characters. So we have to think of people who will target characters that's why it can't be the top ones, but it has to be like the second ones that would go after the top ones.
Now, question, and this will be the ultimate nasty thing if this happens. Kishimoto did say he wanted at some point to bring in Itachi into Boruto.
I'm good.
Could we see some type of Edo Tensei type shit?
No.
I'm
Because
good.
I'll crash out if that happens. If
That
they
doesn't
I'll be
bring,
even that doesn't even make sense. Like
I'll
what would
be
this
all the
talk
way
about?
out. I'll be
Yeah.
out.
please don't,
But
yeah, please don't bring Itachi into the story.
if
He's
that's
been through enough.
Shinky, if that's Shinky, then I mean it would make sense he goes after Gara for sure, who's obviously a very important character.
We need to find out who that motherfucker in the middle is, though.
Yeah, because he's the strongest one too.
I want to know who he's tied to, though. Who does he have a connection with, or does he not even know?
Is
I
he
mean,
the original body of what's the Otosuki that Sasuke and Naruto are fighting?
Jigen?
Jigen?
Yeah, is he Jigen's body?
We don't know.
Interesting.
Because it could be Jigen's body. That could be the thing. So
Maybe. I mean, he went after Naruto and then changed his mind and went after Himawari. So we don't even get what it
Jigen would kind of make sense, I guess, because he was devoted until like it got completely taken over, I believe, or something like that. So maybe.
Hmm. Okay. All right. So the next thing that I'm gonna bring up to the table, of course, I think it would have to be what are the things that I haven't mentioned so far that we got to talk about before we get into the Amato stuff?
Um,
Oh, I remember. How do we feel about the way he's using this to train Boruto and the techniques that he's learned in the future to teach it to him now? How do we feel
I,
about that?
I don't mind it at all. I think this is Boruto's version esque of the hyperbolic time chamber. All these other anime and manga have these ways where they can circumvent time and get a relative quick amount of training in a shorter period of time. This is just Boruto's. I don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense enough, and I feel like it's got to be needed. I feel like it's needed anyway. So unless like they were trying to say that like Sasuke taught Naruto how to like help to basically have the power to destroy the world, then yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, without going too in depth in terms of like time loops and time plot holes and all that stuff. I mean, I think it's fair because it's similar to like how Suna got stronger because he learned abilities from his future self in Hitman Reborn. So I don't mind the concept. I think it's fair because there's very few people can compete in this story, to be honest. So I think it's fair, I guess. And then another trope of Naruto that I caught immediately is when Boruto said, instead of killing Kawaki, he's gonna knock some sense into his idiot brother. That is bar for bar what Naruto did for Sasuke.
That's
So
cliche Naruto talking.
yeah,
That's
so
just the
that's
cliche. It's gonna be there.
that is exactly what that
That
is.
makes sense. That makes sense.
Ave- Avenge the Uzumaki clan is tough though. Doesn't he say something like that? I'm gonna avenge
And
my.
restoring the Uzumaki household is my goal.
That's what it was. That's hard. I fuck with that though.
No, that's valid. I'm thinking like, because Sasuke, if we think about when Sasuke left, Sasuke when he left, I wouldn't say he did anything particularly malicious enough for Naruto to want to kill him.
Mhm.
Whereas Kawaki, I feel like has drawn that line. He wants to kill Boruto, and he's trapped his dad and his mother.
Yo, Hinata might have some problem. Like she might throw some hands.
So that I feel like that goes beyond anything Sasuke's done to Naruto, in the beginning at the very least. So I guess my question is: does Boruto have a valid reason to take out Kawaki for good, compared to like Naruto wanting to go after Sasuke?
I feel like it's valid, but I don't think it would happen. I don't see it happening. Like at all.
I just think Boruto he's his father's child, man. He's just cutting Kawaki some slack. It is what it is. He thinks that he can get him through it. Everything was misunderstood. It is what it is, man.
Oh man.
Now I'll say this: if omnipotence was really what like Kawaki intended to happen, then I'd be like, yo, you gotta kill him. Because like to me, that at that point he's doing anything at that point. He's willing to change all of that to make sure that he can have your life. That's
Yeah.
bad. But since he didn't do that, I can give him a lot of. I can be like, all right, Boruto wanting to save you is fine. He doesn't have to kill you.
Okay. But by the end, Naruto and Sasuke, I feel like there was no strong leaning either way whether or not Sasuke should die at the end of the story.
Mhm.
This, especially since how Boruto began, do we think Kawaki survives at the end?
I don't think Kawaki's the final problem.
I think Kawaki survives. I think him and Boruto are gonna team up just like Naruto and Sasuke did to stop
Yeah.
him. Yeah.
Kishimoto, I want you to break out of your chain of cliches and take out Kawaki at the end. I think Kawaki dies. I think Kawaki is ended. And yeah, I mean that's as simple as I can put it. We'll see, but I think Kishimoto will pull the trigger. I think he will. I think he will pull the trigger with Kawaki. Maybe we'll put this in the agenda in the Discord. Whether or not Kawaki survives. Anything else? Oh, I guess the last thing is Amato. Not only did he find Shiba cells, but he's created androids with these Shiba cells and created a whole plan to take out Jigen. And now he's in the Leaf Village doing whatever he wants to do, of course, in relation to his daughter. What do you think Amato's role is going to be for this story? Because he is connecting to so many things, and it's obvious that he's going to be a crucial piece for the end of the story. What do we think about Amato? What do we think his goal is? What do you think he's going to do for the end of the story for Boruto?
I think he's either going to be the final boss or he's going to be the reason why the final boss is there. Because I think that his main goal is to either be the next Otosuki god or resurrect the old one through some type of means to try to bring his daughter back. And either way, it would end up him either being the final boss if he like becomes like the Otosuki god, or if he somehow brings him, resurrects him, or recreates him. So either way, I feel like it's gonna be that's Amato's like main goal.
What do you think, Miles?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as Lonnie. I think it couldn't be like Naruto to where Madara was built up to be the main guy, and then somebody stepped in and kind of usurped his position. I think if Kishimoto's going to set it up properly, I think Amado would have to be the big bad. And it would just it would just tie in why he has so much knowledge, why he's able to do a lot of the things that he's able to do. Because right now it just seems all over the place. This genius has just been around all of this time. You know, all of these advancements in technology. No one knew about him. I find that odd. Um, I'm also kind of holding on to the fact where the daughter thing might be a little fabricated, and his goal is set on the Shiba god itself, and not a daughter or that type of thing at all.
Yeah. I mean,
But
the daughter thing could be real. It just be like, but the fact that I think he did mention like resurrection and bringing people back from life. So if that's his goal is to bring his daughter back from life, and he becomes or resurrects the Otosuki god, it would make sense with the story.
while he was doing it, he failed a lot. So my only thing is, it could have even been something because he was messing with personalities. He mentions that he was able to resurrect the appearance. That's why all the deltas exist, but he could never manifest a personality. Maybe something where him playing with that could have caused a shift. Um, I just making the Delta clones was one thing, right? And the inners of the Kara, but he was going beyond that. There are more androids than even Ida and Damon that have not been woken up yet. He's assembled all of these things for something, and to me, I don't think it doesn't align with him reviving his daughter.
All right.
Dude has a legit army. Like if he wanted to, he's like Tony Stark with the suits right now. He has so many
Yeah.
androids with all these different powers. It would have to be towards something way greater.
I mean, I do think it can relate to the donor still, in the sense that how I'm picturing it is that something due to the ninja world, maybe they go into the people who have chakra and powers, discriminating against the people who don't, i.e., Amato, and then something happened where one of these people, or during a battle, or they can go like during the war. I forget. I don't even know exactly when his daughter died, so we have to find that out. Um, all of that is like, why am I being a victim of all these people's war? And then because of it, he wants to revive his daughter and he wants to eliminate all jutsu users, period. I could see something like that taking place. I think that's a pretty common story that people can get along with. The weak overtaking the powerful. I can see that as well.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but I also feel like at this point we all saw like maybe some type of aggression towards people with jutsus or something like that.
Well, I mean, he's a genius. You wouldn't show the aggression.
Yeah, so it could happen. It's not impossible.
Yeah, we'll see. And the last thing that happened in the chapter, of course, or the last important thing we haven't discussed yet, Boruto gets captured and the toad is gone. So Boruto is now put on cuffs, and is within the custody of the Leaf Village. Kawaki noted that he's not going to kill Boruto right now. So, what do we think happens from here on out with Boruto in custody?
They interrogate him, quote unquote. He gets saved. It's either he gets saved or like the fruit guys attack again, and they put him in a situation where they need to release Boruto. Kawagi gets upset about it. Blah blah blah. Basic Kishimoto plot lines. I'm not gonna be surprised by like any of that. That's how it should go. And then maybe like he talks to Himawari. Himawari has some question. Like Himawari starts questioning the omnipotence type stuff. Things along those lines.
What do you think, Miles?
It has to be cliche. I think it's going to be a Team 7 team up.
Oh, also he makes Kawaki question his own choices.
I think Team 7 is going to get him out. Or what would be Team 7? It would probably just be Konohamaru, Sarada. What's the class president's name? Sumayer, I think.
Yeah.
And then maybe Himawari can help them out.
Maybe
I
Mitsuki too.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a big, probably one of the major points of that arc, that little mini event series. Mitsuki kind of going with the flow and going against what he feels towards Kawaki and everything. But yeah, I definitely think it's going to be something super cliche. He's getting broken out though.
I'm curious on how certain things work because I'm imagining that another possibility is Kashin Koji goes and tries to save Boruto. And what could happen if that happens is Kashin Koji meets Ida. Now I'm just curious if Ida's ability is going to work on him or not. And if it doesn't work on him, or if it does work on him, I'm curious if Ida can see the information that Kashin Koji knows, giving her basically a gateway to also seeing all these different future timeline events. Because his ability is very interesting, and Ida might find out something that we know she has a selfish desire. She doesn't want this ability. She might go down a road where she does whatever it takes for Kawaki to either succeed or her to lose this ability altogether so people don't just love her unconditionally. That's what I'm curious about. Just if Kashin Koji does enter, I need to see his interaction with Ida and Damon to see what would happen between those three. So that's where I'm at. Anything else?
I wonder when we're going to see Momoshiki again.
There might be one who's like captured and stuff like that. They like end up torturing him or whatever. Momoshiki might like start talking to him, trying to make him like take over or whatever. like the whole devil on your shoulder type situation.
Momoshiki. I mean, yeah, it could be like legit when he's in jail type situation. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. That's about everything we got for the Boruto chapter. I mean, there's a lot of interesting bits of information that was introduced in this chapter that we kind of see how it's going to manifest going forward and what they plan to do now that Boruto is captured. I'm curious because those characters that are I forget what they're called, but those tree monsters, they have no reason not to attack again immediately after Hidari's healed. They literally could just come right back and keep on attacking. So I don't know what they plan to do, and we don't know how everything plans to kind of turn out. And Kawaki realizing that he is weak and a fodder right now, so he has to get a lot stronger in the time being. So I'm guessing he's going to do something very stupid in pursuit of that. Maybe he encounters Kashin Koji, and Kashin Koji tells Kawaki how to get stronger as well.
Or maybe he goes back to Amado.
And yeah, try to enhance his what you call it. But yeah. With that said, that's all we got for today. Appreciate all of y'all. That is our review of Boruto's recent chapter. Y'all have a good one. Take care and peace.